Let's talk about Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers. Unfortunately, if you are a Packers fan, they lost yesterday to the Philadelphia Eagles 22-10. Their defense played very well considering the circumstances, but Jordan Love did let this team down yesterday. He has 0 passing touchdowns to 3 interceptions. The last interception, late play in the game, you're just trying to go out there and make a play. Those type of plays are going to happen. But when you look at the 2 interceptions that he threw in this matchup, it makes you scratch your head. Now, Jordan Love has been in the NFL for 5 years now. He's been in the league for some time, but this is just his second full year starting. And he missed time this year dealing with a groin injury and a knee injury. When I look at Jordan Love, he is a franchise quarterback in my opinion, but he still has a lot of room to go out there and grow and to develop. Jordan Love has all the potential to go out there and be a top quarterback in this league. He has the rocket arm. He has the deep accuracy at times, and he has the ability to move outside the pocket very well. He's not Aaron Rodgers. He's more so of a Brett Favre. Now, if you did not like Brett Favre and being reckless and being a gunslinger, you're not going to be the biggest fan of Jordan Love, because I want a lot of you guys to realize something. Jordan Love was a reckless quarterback in college. He was a very good quarterback. The last 5 games pushed him to being a first-round pick. He was inconsistent in college. And I look at Jordan Love so far, he's been inconsistent in his first 2 years starting. Last season, the first half of that season, it wasn't pretty with the Packers and Jordan Love. They were a 500 team. Then on the back half of the season, he had 18 passing touchdowns to just 1 interception. He played very well. And against the Dallas Cowboys, he looked phenomenal last year. That game against the San Francisco 49ers, he had a lot of big-time moments, and then we all know how the game ended. He threw a terrible interception across the middle of the field, something that Brett Favre has also done in his career against the New Orleans Saints. Those plays, they happen with gunslinging quarterbacks. But when I look at what happened yesterday, the first interception that I really want to get into before I get into the whole roster and before I get into the whole discussion about Jordan Love and his future with this team, this is a one-on-one situation right here. You're trusting your wide receiver. This is a phenomenal play by the cornerback, Darius Slay. This is an underthrown football. Now, Jordan Love has that rocket arm power. He has to settle down with his feet. The mechanical issues that he dealt with in college, he's still dealing with right now. Now, this is something that should have been fixed by now. They fixed this with Aaron Rodgers when he was ready to play after Brett Favre. This is the Packers organization. They don't just throw you out there year one. They give you some time to go out there, fix your issues, get the throwing motion right, speed up the release. Then they put you out there on the field. This is not a bad decision. You're trusting your guy one-on-one. The cornerback makes a phenomenal play. If you just throw the football just a little bit further, you could possibly get a huge gain off of this. And if it doesn't come down with a gain, it probably is just going to go out there and just be a pass deflection. But you throw the football right into the arms of the defensive player. Once again, great play by the defensive back. But I look at Jordan Love, just push the football out just a little bit more, fix those mechanics with your feet. This interception right here really made me question Jordan Love a lot on what he was seeing on the field. Tucker Kraft slips down. This is the interception right before halftime to Zach Bond. Tucker Kraft slips. You have Coach LaFleur. He comes out after the game and saying that was a schematical issue. Jordan Love said, yeah, I was just banking on Tucker Kraft being there. That's a predetermined read. You're not fully seeing the field and you're not fully reading the defense. You can make the excuse that the tight end did slip down and he was supposed to be right there in that spot, but you see that he's not right there. He's nowhere near Zach Bond because he slipped down and he threw the football right to the defensive player. You can't have these type of plays. And we saw similar interceptions and similar turnovers against the Philadelphia Eagles in week 1. This is a quarterback that's getting paid $55 million a year off of his last extension. They gave him that massive extension after just 1 season, and rightfully so, because of what he was able to do in the postseason and what he was able to do on the back half of last year. But when I look at Jordan Love, you have to be better. I understand his wide receivers were down. Jaden Reed hurt his shoulder. Romeo Doubs got concussed. Romeo Doubs got concussed because he threw him into double coverage. It was a double coverage situation. His head smacks the turf. Once again, he's being a gunslinger. He's not being patient. And that's also something else that I noticed with Jordan Love. He doesn't want to go out there and dink and dunk his way down the field at times. When he does, he's a very efficient quarterback. But then you'll just see plays where Christian Watson is deep down the field. He'll just throw it to Christian Watson. You don't have to do that every single time. And in the red zone yesterday, he wasn't good either. This is a smooth out route by the wide receiver. There's a small window right there for him to come down with the football. He overthrows him. You can't have these type of plays as a franchise quarterback. These are layup type of plays. Brett Favre would be able to hit that the same with Aaron Rodgers. But once again, I'm going to say he's a young quarterback. He will learn from this, hopefully. And then you look at this play right here. Same drive. You could walk away with a touchdown. Just a bad throw in the back of the red zone. Jordan Love has to clean up that accuracy. I'm telling you, when this kid is red hot, he's red hot. He's damn near unstoppable on the field when he can get going. The San Francisco 49ers last season, they had a solid defense, and he went out there and he was shredding them in that playoff game with young wide receivers. With me coming on here and saying all the negative things about Jordan Love, there is still something special here with this kid. Yes, he threw the 3 interceptions yesterday, but he went 7 straight games this year on the back half of this season without an interception. So he can go out there and take care of the football. It's just not consistent right now. And we saw this last year when he was fully starting in his first season with the Green Bay Packers. When they made the playoffs and they beat the Dallas Cowboys, he did a great job of taking care of the football. So you have to find that fine line between being a gunslinger and just taking what the defense gives you. If he can't find that fine line, they're going to always be in situations like this against the Philadelphia Eagles and against top tier teams in the NFL. And when I look at the Packers, this year was not a terrible year. The only teams they lost to, Minnesota Vikings, one of the best teams this season. The Philadelphia Eagles, one of the best teams this season. The Detroit Lions, one of the best teams this season. And the Chicago Bears, which was a very weird game, but it was the last game of the regular season. Jordan Love left that game early with an elbow injury. And they pulled the starters and they put Malik Willis out there. Yes, it does suck to lose to the Chicago Bears, but you won enough games at that point in time to go out there and make the playoffs. Yes, it does hurt to go out there and lose to your division rivals, not once, but twice in the season. You got swept by the Vikings. You got swept by the Lions, but those are Super Bowl contending teams. Right now, the Packers are not a Super Bowl contending team, not with the wide receivers that you have. And I like the wide receivers. I like Romeo Doubs. He gives you something that other wide receivers can't give you on this roster. And that's the same with Jaden Reed and the same with Christian Watson. And those wide receivers went down in yesterday's game. And you entered the game with no Christian Watson, who was dealing with a knee injury. Now, this is why I talk about big picture right here, what this team should do long term. You have to bring in another number 1 wide receiver. Whether that's going out there and bringing back Devontae Adams. I think that Devontae Adams still has a lot to offer this Packers organization. I wish that he never left. But he wanted to go out there. He wanted to get paid. And he wanted to go and play with Derek Carr. So it is what it is. Hopefully they can bring him back. If you can't bring him back, throw some money at T. Higgins. T. Higgins has dealt with injuries in his career. So if you don't want to go that route, draft a wide receiver in the first round. They haven't done that in a very long time. I understand that, but you have to change something. The wide receivers that you have now are not bad. I'm really not trying to disrespect these wide receivers, but you see the problems that they run into when they don't have a true number 1. They just have a bunch of guys that give you something different. What happens when one of those guys go down? You were missing your deep threat yesterday in Christian Watson. If that's Christian Watson right there running on Darius Slade, that may go for a huge touchdown because he's their best deep threat. Jaden Reed is a touchdown machine. You can say he's their best route runner, him and Romeo Doubs. So when all those guys are going down, you're depending on Dontavian Wicks, not a bad player. Malik Heath, Bo Melton. Now you're in trouble because you don't have a true number 1. And you do have Tucker Kraft, a very good receiving tight end, one of the best receiving tight ends this season, had over 700 receiving yards. He can give you a lot of good production, especially going deep down the field in terms of making those small plays, huge plays. We saw this against the Los Angeles Rams. And you have Luke Musgrave, solid receiving tight end. You just have a lot of solid weapons around Jordan Love. These guys are developing at a good rate, but they're young. This is one of the youngest teams in the league. Bring in a veteran presence. And I love what the general manager did. You went out there, you brought in Josh Jacobs. He was one of the best backs this season. You brought in Xavier McKinney. That's a start. Go out there and bring in some more offensive help with Jordan Love. Yeah, you can make the case right now that he's overpaid. Damn near every quarterback right now is overpaid. That's just the market. Shout out to the Cleveland Browns for going out there and making that trade with Deshaun Watson and jacking up the entire market. It was going to happen anyway, but shout out to that organization. But you go out there, you don't invest all this money and just say, Jordan Love, make the guys around you better. You expect for that to happen long term, but right now he's struggling. Go out there and get him some more targets. Get him some established targets. The Packers have went cheap with wide receiver over the last few years, and it has hurt them over and over again. Now look at other things that happened this season. Jeff Hafley, terrific defensive coordinator compared to Joe Barry, terrific. He had a great season this year. The defense took a complete 180. Joe Barry was a terrible defensive coordinator. I look at Jeff Hafley. Maybe one day he will be a head coach in this league. He's a former head coach coming out of college. He was a head coach for Boston College. I like the defensive system that he has right now. Xavier McKinney is a very good football player, but the scheme has helped him a lot. The system has helped him a lot to go out there and be able to get those interceptions. Jair Alexander, when he was fully healthy, he's always been a true number one. He was on pace to have his best career year this year for the Packers, and they may have to move on from Jair Alexander. He has been healthy in the last 2 years. Your best ability is availability, and they have solid players in that secondary without Jair Alexander. You don't have a true number one, but you have solid players. We saw that yesterday. They were doing very good work against Devontae Smith, against A.J. Brown and Dallas Goedert, with Xavier McKinney over the top. You have Quay Walker. He did go down in yesterday's game. Not Quay Walker, excuse me. Devontae Wyatt, you have him. He did go down in yesterday's game dealing with a leg injury. You have Quay Walker, very good player. 72 solo tackles, 2.5 sacks. Just a very good linebacker to have. Lucas Van Ness, very solid pass rusher to have. And Kenny Clark. This defense kept them in the game for 3 straight quarters. 3 straight quarters. Until the interceptions really did them in. Until the turnovers did them in. And you can also make another excuse for the Packers. Nixon went out there. He fumbled the football. Kick return, the first play of the game. And it put the Philadelphia Eagles in scoring range. And they walk away with a touchdown. They could have easily walked away with nothing and coming off the first drive, and it would have been a closer game. Even with the interceptions that Jordan Love was going out there and throwing to the opposing team, the defense kept it together. But they could only do so much when they're on the field majority of the time. And yes, you had the huge play by Dallas Goedert. He's going out there stiff-arming the defensive back 3 times. He gets into the red zone. The defense is tired. And that was just blown coverage by the Green Bay Packers. It happens. I like what Cooper was able to do yesterday at the linebacker position. He's a very good player long-term to look at. The defense is going to be very good. And you have a lot of young players on that defense. You don't have to go out there and extend players just yet. But in order for this Packers team to work with Jordan Love, he has to get better and he has to be more consistent. And I do believe in the next few years, the Green Bay Packers will be a major Super Bowl contender in this division. My hot take is that eventually Jordan Love is going to bring a championship to the Green Bay Packers with the potential that he has. We've seen it with Aaron Rodgers. We've seen it with Brett Favre. And that quarterback's coach has worked with all of those quarterbacks before. And they've had major success. It just comes down to Jordan Love. He has to go out there and he has to want to get better with his mechanics. That's the only thing that's holding him back. And also the decision making. But the decision making at times, he's trying to go out there and make a big play because he's a gunslinger. But if he can clean up the accuracy on those out routes, he can clean up the accuracy on some of those zig routes and some of the shallow crosses, I'm telling you right now, that will be a huge difference in his completion percentage and in his game. If you're a Packers fan, just be a little more patient. I like the roster that they have. I like the young talent. Bring in some more veterans at the wide receiving position, and you will be okay. And when I look at Coastal Flora, I'm a huge Coastal Flora fan. You can go back and listen to the other videos about me talking about Coastal Flora. He's been phenomenal in his career so far, but he does deserve a lot of criticism. You see that Jordan Love is struggling yesterday against the top defense this season. He is struggling immensely with his accuracy. He is it going out there. He isn't looking good with his decision making. Why not run the football a little bit more? Why not get the football into the hands of Josh Jacobs? Why not feed Josh Jacobs more? It's the reason why you paid him that much money. You only gave him 18 carries on the day for 81 rushing yards. And I know that sounds crazy that I say that you only gave him 18 carries. You gave him 26 carries against the Seattle Seahawks. Feed him the football. And I understand that you're down, but you've been down in other games this season and you fed him the football over 20 times. Get Josh Jacobs the football more coming out of the backfield and let him be the bell cow. Let him be your main offensive player, and then go back to Jordan Love. We saw this last year. That's why they moved off Aaron Jones, because he dealt with all the injuries, and Coastal Flora came out and said that he wanted to have a more run-heavy approach this season. We got to see that, but not in this game. Only 18 carries. That's not going to cut it in big time games against a defense like the Eagles. And shout out to the Eagles. They were going out there. They were stopping him at times. But it was other times where you could go out there. You could run a counterattack. You could run some motion. The Packers have the talent. Just let them continue to grow. Let them continue to develop. This is back-to-back years now that they've been one of the youngest teams to make the playoffs. So that's very impressive for Coach LaFleur. And I'm going to also say this. The penalties. I'm going to put this on Coach LaFleur and the players. You've played enough football up to this point. The same type of penalties that you run into in this league, you run into in college. Stop holding. Stop going out there and holding pass rushes. If you're beat, you're beat. Just hope that Jordan Love can go out there and either throw the football away or he can make a better decision. You don't have to hold, because when you're holding, and let's just say Jordan Love gets a big completion and he was able to avoid pressure anyway, they call that play back. The penalties also hurt them yesterday. You're getting a big gain by Josh Jacobs. Penalty, holding. You get a big gain by Jordan Love. Penalty, holding. Illegal shift, illegal movement. You can't have those type of plays. This is what you clean up in practice. This is what you clean up in scrimmages. This is what you clean up in training camp. Young team, yes, but at the end of the day, you're a professional. Some of the penalties are unwarranted. But let me know in the comment section below, how do you guys feel about the Green Bay Packers and Jordan Love moving forward? And do you still believe that he's going to be the franchise quarterback? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for the video, guys. God bless.